Hello, friends, and welcome to the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, sponsored by Underdog, Vivid Seats, and Rival Fantasy. It's Tuesday, October 24th. My special guest today is my former co-worker at NBC, Noah Rubin. Let's do this. Noah, how we doing today?
Doc, I'm doing great. It's a good day when you have, I guess, 6 months of no regular season basketball, 4 months of no meaningful basketball, just a little bit of summer league and preseason sprinkled in. But Doc, it is opening night in the NBA. It doesn't get much better than that.
It's sort of like fake opening night because there's only 2 games, and Wednesday, I think everybody else is playing. So Wednesday's the big one when, everybody who has a fantasy basketball team, like almost their whole team will be in action. You'll have full lineup decisions to make. Tonight's just sort of the precursor to that, where there's only 4 teams in action. The Lakers are at Denver at 7:30, and the Suns are at Golden State at 10 o'clock. Those are both TNT games. So if you have television, you should be able to watch NBA basketball tonight, and the games actually matter.
Yeah, and you won't even have to use League Pass. It'll be right there on your TV. It'll be great. We'll get to see Nikola Jokic not care that he won a trophy, but he'll get a ring and just kind of say, cool guys, and then just go play some basketball. And then Warriors Suns will be fun as well. Kevin Durant against his old team, Chris Paul against his old team. No Bradley Beal. That is a little bit disappointing that he won't be playing, but it should still be a good game.
That's sort of a bad omen to the start of Bradley Beal's season. If he can't even get out there for game 1 due to a back injury, sounds like he's not going to play. And Devin Booker, his son's teammate, is a game-time decision with a toe injury. I think Booker's probably good to go. Sounds like he practiced recently. I think it's just precautionary more than anything. But Beal is probably out. And for a team that's kind of favored to do really well in the West, they need these guys healthy if they're going to be able to get that done. So do you have Bradley Beal shares anywhere?
I think I have him in one league that I did. It was just a ESPN points league with some friends from college that I got Bradley Beal like 2 or 3 rounds later than he should have gone. I said, okay, I guess I kind of have to take him here. But not in any of my, not in most of my leagues. I don't.
Yeah, I have 0 Brad Beal shares, and I feel pretty good about that. Another guy, now who's going to step up in Beal's place tonight? Is it Goodwin? Is it who's the other one I saw? Shoot.
I'm pulling it up right now to try and look, but
I got off the screen.
It could be Eric Gordon. It could be Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. Yeah. I think Grayson Allen is probably going to play a lot tonight. I have a feeling he's going to do okay. But that's just a guess. We don't really know because we haven't seen these guys yet. But Goodwin, Gordon, Grayson Allen. I like Grayson Allen. Like if I was going to play FanDuel tonight, I'd probably take a flyer on Grayson Allen. He's going to be super cheap. Now another injury update is that Draymond Green is probably not playing for the Warriors.
Yeah, and I guess that's
another bad omen.
Yeah, I think he's been the past few weeks trying to be ready for this based on reports, but if he's not playing, then they'll probably have both Chris Paul and Kevon Looney starting, so Steve Kerr won't have to make that tough decision of who he's bringing off the bench for at least one game, which is probably a sigh of relief from him that he doesn't have to tell Chris Paul that he's on the bench, or making Draymond start at center against the Suns probably wouldn't have been the worst team to start Draymond at center against. But he'll have to wait to make that decision. And Jonathan Kuminga will play a really big role off the bench, I'd imagine, with no Draymond. He had a really, really good preseason. Probably won't score as much as he did during the preseason because he won't just have that green light that he had when he was on the floor, but should still be a very effective option for them.
Yeah, Kuminga is another guy I like in DFS tonight. Draymond Green is officially out of that game, so Kuminga should have a good opportunity in game one. But regardless of who's playing and who's not, basketball is here, and we could not be happier about that. No, I threw some. Wait, no. What's your Twitter? What's your Twitter handle? It's at Noah
It
Rubin
is
22.
22. Yep.
Yeah. So Noah's got a podcast called Tank Me Later on the FBI network, and you should check that out. He spent a day with Dr. A, which is me, last week, and we hung out in my family room and talked hoops for an hour. It was also some storytelling. You can find that on mine or Noah's Twitter feed. No, I put some polls out there on Twitter or X or whatever last night that I thought were kind of interesting. It felt like everybody was into Victor Wembanyama for the last year, and the whole race to see who was going to get Wembanyama was fun. But then after that first preseason game, I felt like a lot of people jumped off the Wemby bandwagon, saying that he was too skinny. He needed more weight on his body. He was going to get broken in the NBA. He wasn't going to play a full season for Pop, yada, yada, yada. But he's been getting drafted sometimes at the end of round one, almost always lately by the end of round two. I've got him on a ton of teams just because I love drafting Wembanyama. I put out there a poll. I said, Wembanyama, boom or bust. 91% of the 360 votes it got, people think he's going to be a boom. 91%.
I think at his, I don't know what his Yahoo ADP is right now, but for a while there, it was early third round, mid third round. And I think if you said boom from there, then cool, you just believe in him, that he's going to have a really good year. I think that's not really in question. I think he is going to have a phenomenal rookie season, especially after what we've seen from him during the preseason. But I did a draft last night, and Adam King took him at 13. I don't really see how he booms from 13. I think it's, that's probably his ceiling. I mean, that's first round value for a rookie. That doesn't happen very often. So for him to boom from early second round or first round, not really there for me. But he could return that value. I don't really see him booming from there. But if you're getting him in round 3 or 4, which is kind of where he was going before the preseason, then you could say boom. But I think at this point where he's being drafted, I have to say bust, but not bust that he's going to be horrible, but bust in the sense that he's probably going to return third or fourth round value because he's a rookie and he might struggle with a few things.
Okay, those are all fair points. I didn't specify fantasy lingo or universe in that poll. Just like, is Wemby going to live up to the hype, or is Pop going to sit him, one game a week and not let him play as much as we want to see him play? I think people, including Wemby himself, think he's going to be out there a lot more than maybe we initially thought. I just think people are excited about Wembanyama and want to see him play and think he's going to be really good. And hopefully he blocks a ton of shots this season so that I can win a jersey from you. I took Wemby against Walker Kessler to lead the league to lead in blocks this season. And 8-foot wingspan. He's flying all over the court. I'm still feeling it. I'm not upset by that jersey bet, even though Walker Kessler may look like a better option on paper. Another one I threw out there was Chet Holmgren, boom or bust. 84.5% of the folks out there think that Chet is going to also be a boom. Only 15% are saying bust. And these guys, he's as skinny as Wembanyama is. He was out all last season with a foot injury. But he was going more like 4th, 5th round. It'll be easier for him to boom in fantasy, I think, from that slot than trying to have Wemby live up to the hype of being a late first, early second round pick.
Definitely. You probably have to get him in round 3 now, but I think his ADP will probably be in round 4 or 5. If you did it a month ago, you probably would have been able to get him there. That's fine. But it seems maybe that's just how it seems to me. But since their preseason matchup, you have to pick them at least a round or 2 earlier just because of how much fun it was and how good they both were. I think that Chet and Wemby can both be producing around the same value. So getting Chet a couple rounds later, even if it does feel early at round 3 at this point, I feel better about Chet booming from his ADP than Wemby because I think that they're going to have similar seasons. I think Wemby will be a little bit better, probably average a little bit more points, but Chet will probably be a little bit better on the glass because he'll be the starting center as opposed to Wemby being the power forward with Zach Collins down there. So similar seasons, Wemby probably a little bit better, but at their price, I got to go Chet.
And then 2 guys that I've become obsessed with. I was kind of late to the party here. But Coby White, I think, is going to start at point guard for the Bulls. He's looked really good in the preseason. He looked good at the end of last season. I kind of think he's turned the corner and is going to have a good year. You can get him super late in fantasy drafts. I just took him in my 30-team league yesterday, like 120th or 125th, something like that. He's going to start for that 30-team league. I put a Coby White boomer bust poll out there. 45% say boom, 55% say bust. What is your thought on Coby White?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be the starter in Chicago. It wouldn't be shocking if Billy Donovan kind of switched things up as the season goes along, but it seems like he's going to start from opening night. During the preseason, was able to score in double figures in 4 out of his 5 games, but scoring's never really been an issue for him. But he did have at least 3 assists in all of his games. And if I'm able to do quick math off the top of my head, it looks like he averaged 4 assists per game during the preseason, despite only playing over 25 minutes once. Averaged 2.8 assists per game last year. So if he can get that playmaking boost, I have no problem taking him in the last few rounds. So I think probably round 11 is a sweet spot because any later is a bargain. That's great. But I don't know how much earlier I'm going to take him than round 11 just because he does have a history of not being great in category leagues. It seems like he's turned the corner, but it still is a little bit of a risky pick. But I do think he'll have a pretty solid season.
Yeah, 11th to 12th round, I'm fine with Coby White every time. And if it doesn't work out, you drop him and pick up somebody else. Another guy I'm late to the party on that I was about to mention was Jeremy Sochan for the Spurs. It looks like Trey Jones is kind of out right now, and Sochan is going to play point forward for them, apparently. He's going to be playing out there with Wembanyama and Devin Vassell, who I love also. The Spurs are going to be fun to watch on League Pass this season, I think.
Definitely, especially at point Sochan is going to be a lot of fun. Everybody in that lineup, I think, would be at least 6'7". Oh, Keldon Johnson might be 6'5". Everybody's going to be tall, and a tall point guard will be fun. Wemby's obviously going to be a ton of fun. Sochan starting at point guard should give him a nice fantasy boost. I saw him in the draft I did last night. I think he went 90, which was a bit early to me, but he could just totally pop off and be significantly better than that. So we'll see. As far as Trey Jones, I think it's interesting. A lot of people I've seen say, drop him. Okay, he has no value now. He's not the starter. Well, he's still probably going to play 25 minutes per game, which is, less than he was before, but still play enough. He'll be the point guard when he's in the game. They're not going to have him off the ball just because Sochan's in the game and he's their quote-unquote point guard now. But also, anytime anybody on the Spurs misses a game outside of maybe Zach Collins, they'd probably sub in a center. But Trey Jones would probably slide into the starting unit if any of 1 through 4 misses a game. So, and he'll still be really effective in those games. I'm still rostering him, but I'm probably drafting him a couple rounds later than what he was going before, which I believe was round 9, so probably 11 or 12. But he'll still be a very solid option. He's not going to boom, but he can be serviceable.
Yeah, I feel like Trey Jones and Tyus Jones were both kind of getting drafted near each other, and then Trey's kind of fallen off, and he's available later, and Tyus looks like the better option. But Anyway, that's some of the stuff going on as we get ready for opening night. Noah, Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $500 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code RWNBA. Promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today and use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. Noah, let's look at Wednesday night. 12 games, 24 teams in action. The Spurs are playing. The Thunder are playing. The Hawks, Pacers. Coby White is playing with the Bulls. I'm really curious as to what this Mavericks lineup and rotation is going to look like. I want to see if Luka plays. I want to see if Kyrie plays. I want to see who those guys are going to throw it to. We get Wemby and Chet. I mean, there's so much going on Wednesday. Y'all better get the league pass fired up and clear your calendar from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun night. You mentioned Dallas and San Antonio. Everybody saw the practice clips of Dallas having their trainers hold large, I don't even know what they were, but to make them look like Wemby and look like everybody's really long defenders closing out really tall, just to help them get used to it, because it is kind of league altering bringing this 7'4", 7'5" guy in that can dribble and move really well. So it's funny to see how teams are reacting to having to match up with him for the first time. But Dallas's rotation is going to be really interesting because Kyrie played in their last preseason game. I would just assume that means he's available for opening night, but we'll see. Luka's, I think I read that he started practicing again, but we don't really know what that looks like for opening night. I would assume that if he's able to give it a go, he will, which hopefully because that'll be fun. Luka and Kyrie versus Wemby. We'll throw Devin Vassell, Wemby and Devin Vassell, just to make it like 2 stars right there. So it should be a fun matchup for that opening night.
Yeah, the opening night's just going to be insane. I really can't wait for Wednesday. Thursday's fun because it's actually opening night. But I mean, Wednesday's fun because it's actually Tuesday's fun because it's actually opening night. But Wednesday is going to be that's going to be the big one.
There we go.
Are you having any post fantasy draft regrets? Do you have guys that you have taken that you're kind of pushing the panic button on already?
Not yet. I think I'll probably maybe have some after the first week, but I don't think there's anybody that I've drafted so far that I'm like, man, that was, well, there's probably are some that I say that was a bad pick, but I don't think there's anybody on my roster that I'm like, I really don't think they're going to be good. I might drop them or try and look to trade them as quickly as I can. But that'll all change. That will change within the first week. I wouldn't be surprised at all. The only guy, I don't even think I have Luka in any leagues, but I think that would be a slight concern, but I'm not also regretting ever drafting Luka Doncic in a league. So
yeah, I guess Trey Jones would be one of my guys that I'm a little disappointed where I have him. But really most of my drafts were all similar young guys with a lot of upside. Now, there was an ESPN draft that I did, Noah, and I look at this roster and I just kind of shake my head that I was able to pull this off. But I got Anthony Edwards, I have Wemby, I have Chet, I have Jaren Jackson Jr., who I got in round 4.
Oh my goodness.
I still can't really wrap my head around that.
A points league?
No, it's not. There's only 10. There's only 10 teams, but it's categories.
But round 4. So you're not. I mean, that's what
people on Twitter were like, "What? Why is Jaren Jackson Jr. going in the 4th round?" I mean, I've taken him as early as 12, 13, 14. So the fact that he fell that far, I really don't understand it. But that team also has Josh Giddey. It has Jalen Williams. It has Devin Vassell, Andrew Wiggins, who I think is due for a big comeback this season. It's got Benedict Mathurin. But yeah, with my big men on that team, Jaren Jackson Jr., Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama, and Alperen Sengun. I don't think it's possible for me not to win blocks outright every single night.
Yeah, there's no reason for you to not. And it's crazy because you reach on Wemby and Chet in round 2 and 3 to make sure you get your guys. So you're like, okay, cool, I reached there. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. slips to you in round 4. Because I think if you would have said you got Jaren Jackson round 2, Wemby round 3, Chet round 4, it would have been, oh, that's great values. So it ended up working out really nicely for you.
It fell into my lap, literally. So let's see. Wait, I got Chet in 4. I got Chet in 4. I got Jaren at 28 in round 3.
Okay.
So,
a little bit more reasonable, but still really good value there.
Still, Jaren Jackson Jr. should not be there at the end of round 3, even if it's a 10-man league. So pretty excited about that that team and that draft. That was pretty fun. Okay, let's see. Let's do this. The NBA season is here, as we've stated several times. On behalf of our friends at Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team crush it on the court to the sound of thousands of screaming fans, every dunk, dribble, and every heart-pounding play of your favorite team live and in person, because Vivid Seats is the only ticketing company where you can earn rewards on every purchase. You can score amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Use promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats, experience it live. Noah, are there any guys that you've fallen in love with at the last minute, sort of like my Sochan and my Coby Whites? Do you have any of those guys?
It feels like I did like a month or two ago, and they were all guys I was able to get late in drafts. And as more people, or I guess as I've talked about them, more other people have talked about them, they've slowly risen up, so you're not able to get them quite as late. Zach Collins is one of the 5 centers that I've been saying to get this year from between rounds, I guess like 7 to 9. So really like him this year as kind of the defender for Victor Wembanyama. He'll be the guy taking any hits that anybody puts out on Wemby, but also giving you good rebounds, a 3 per game, a steal, a block, decent assists from the center spot. So I really like him this year. Ausar Thompson should start in Detroit. I like getting him around pick 100. Same thing with PJ Washington, who should start for Charlotte now. I did like getting Josh Richardson there for a little bit. I think he'll come off the bench, and it doesn't look like he'll play opening night, but his best seasons were in Miami, so I still like taking him towards the end of the draft. And then my favorite late round, last round guy, which, again, starting to go a round or two earlier now, is Jalen Johnson. Had a really good preseason. Probably won't start opening night, but has a chance to earn a starting role at some point, or at least play a pretty big role off the bench. I think his versatility is something that Quinn Snyder will really enjoy, and having a 4 that can dribble will be a new experience for the Hawks.
Nice. Talk to me about this dude on the Wizards that is suddenly a go-to guy at the end of fantasy drafts. I'm really not sure I can even say his name, but I'm guessing.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm guessing that you can.
I was having to practice a little bit, but it's Beal Coulibaly.
Coulibaly.
Yes, I need to work on saying that a little bit smoother, but I'm able to pronounce it from practice a little bit. But I think he had in 4 preseason games, or in his first 4, maybe he played a 5th, and I'm just not updated on my stats, but he had 10 steals in his first 4 preseason games. Averaged, I mean, maybe it was 10 steals through 3 preseason games. It was a lot. He had a lot of steals. He wasn't great anywhere else, but his defense will get him on the floor. I mean, when you have Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma taking over the offense, nobody else is going to get a chance to shoot, really. So having another defender out there in Coulibaly to kind of take on the opposing team's lead scorer, that'll get him on the floor. And then he can get steals. We've seen that. And he'll have an opportunity as a rookie to work through things offensively and improve as the season goes on. So from opening night, you're probably just getting steals, and you may have to deal with some struggles in other areas. But I think as the season progresses, he'll get better and better. And that's why I'm glad you brought him up. I have enjoyed taking him in the last 2 rounds as well.
Yeah, and I feel like he's going to finally put the nail in Denny Avdija's whatever. Because Denny Avdija, we've been waiting for like 3 years for him to do something, and now, the depth chart says that Coulibaly is going to start in front of him, and you're going to have guys coming off that Washington bench like DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet, Avdija, Danilo Gallinari. Washington is going to be a disaster from a reality standpoint, but fantasy-wise, a lot of people love Danny Gafford and his ability to block shots from the center position this year. A lot of people's favorite last-round pick is the guy we've just been talking about. You and I have a little Schurzy going on Jordan Poole's ability to score the basketball. He's going to be a volume shooter. He's going to be taking tons of shots. And Tyus Jones should be a very serviceable starting point guard for the Wizards. I mean, there's a lot to love about Washington from a fantasy standpoint. Another guy that I've kind of been high on, taking him, in the later rounds of drafts, is Andrew Wiggins, and he plays for the Warriors, where we're going to get to see him tonight. Missed a huge chunk of the last season with some personal issues. He also missed time with injuries. Didn't play in very many games. He's kind of a big disappointment last year. I just think he's poised and in the perfect position to bounce back. Pretty strong this season, and I look for him to have a big game tonight with no Draymond Green.
Yeah, I agree. He's going to have to play a larger role. No Draymond means that, somebody's going to have to try and go out there and guard KD. And it's not going to be Kevon Looney, and it's probably not going to be Klay Thompson. So it's probably going to be Andrew Wiggins. They're going to need him to do a lot. He was awesome to start last season. And then I know I've talked about this on just about every podcast I've talked about him. Missed about a month due to an injury and illness, played a little bit, and then he wasn't really quite the same player. Missed the final 2 months for personal reasons, and then wasn't quite the same in the playoffs. So I'm hoping he can get back to that player that he was to start last season when he was a top 25 guy in 9-cat leagues. I actually did it in my draft last night, got him at 74, which was a tad early, but I was picking from 2, and I knew he wasn't going to get back around to me. And I'm a big believer in Andrew Wiggins this year, so probably a slight reach, but I think that he'll be able to return that level of value, if not more.
Yeah, round 9 of that 10-man ESPN draft I was talking about is an interesting round because it went Klay Thompson, Ja Morant, who's out for 25 games, Jabari Smith, Tobias Harris, is possibly the most boring fantasy player in the land, Jeremy Grant, who's also pretty boring, Keegan Murray, I love the upside there, Anthony Simons with no Dame should be fun, Andrew Wiggins, I got at 88, John Collins went at 89, and then Danny Gafford went at 90. So that's, between 80 and 90, there's a lot of guys on that list that are have a chance to really do something this season. What are your thoughts on Ja? Did you take any flyers on Ja Morant, and are you patient enough to be able to wait 25 games without being able to put him on the IR?
No, I don't have him anywhere. I think other people were more ambitious than I was. I think getting him I think I've seen him generally go kind of round 7. I would definitely take him round 8 or 9. But I don't really love him in 9-cat leagues when he's healthy, or excuse me, not healthy, but when he's available. He's good, but he's not quite as good as he is in points leagues. And then missing the first 25 games, I'd rather in round 6 or 7. I feel like I like a lot of guys in that range as well. So I'd rather go with those guys, whether it be Devin Vassell's going earlier now, but he was a guy, Andrew Wiggins, Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, a lot of those centers that I like. We talked about Zach Collins, Daniel Gafford, Jalen Duren, Mark Williams. I'd rather go with a few of those guys. And then generally around 9 or 10 is when I start taking a little bit more risk. And that's where I would take a guy that's suspended the first 25 games. If somebody else wants to take him earlier, that's fine. He is a very good player and is going to give you plenty of points, rebounds, and assists, especially rebounds for a point guard. I just didn't end up getting him anywhere because he generally went before I was willing to take him.
Same. I don't think I ended up with any job. Maybe one league I did, but it was a mock, and I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do with him. We're not playing that one out. I'm looking at another guy that I kind of like in that Andrew Wiggins area is Bruce Brown of the Indiana Pacers. I've been kind of hyping him up. He's getting paid a lot of money to play for the Pacers. He's going to be a strong veteran presence there. I guess let me give you some names and tell me who you would take out of this group. Trey Jones, Bruce Brown, Terry Rozier, Shadon Sharp, or CJ McCollum.
Honestly, I'd probably go Rozier first. And then it would be, oh goodness, it would probably be Bruce Brown or CJ McCollum. Maybe depending on my build, if I'm not punting field goal percentage, then it might be Bruce Brown first over Terry Rozier and CJ McCollum. With a punt field goal percentage, it would probably be those two ahead of Bruce Brown. And then Trey Jones and then Shadon Sharp, who I think should have a pretty sizable role with Portland and will be able to shoot a lot. But I don't really know. I think I liked him a little bit. And then after hearing some other people talk about it, he'll score and he'll probably hit some threes. But I don't really know what other categories he's providing value in. I think he's fine in points leagues, but in category leagues, he'll probably just be providing some points. And he may not even start if they want to go with Matisse Thybulle to have at least somebody out there that's going to focus on defense and not just focus on getting their own shot, because everybody else in that starting lineup is like that. So I like his upside long-term, but I think for this year, I don't really know how much he's providing. So he's last for me on that list.
Wow. Yeah. I like Shadon quite a bit. I have him in a few leagues. I didn't get him in some. I took Bruce Brown in front of Shadon Sharp in that 10-man draft. If in-game dunking were a fantasy category, I think he'd probably go in like the 4th round, but
him and Obi Toppin.
It's not. And yeah, Obi Toppin. And you when you were describing Shadon Sharp as a volume shooter, and what else does he do besides score some points? It sounds a lot like Jordan Poole to me. We'll see. I can't wait to see what Jordan Poole does. He's either going to lead the league in scoring or he's going to be a complete disaster bust.
He can do both.
Could go either way. He's got it in him to do both. Did you end up with any Ben Simmons? He's kind of become a popular 10, 11, 12 round guy.
I don't think I got him in. I may have gotten him in some mocks, but by the time I started doing real drafts, he was going significantly earlier. He generally around pick 100 now, sometimes even a tad earlier than that. When we did the Roto World mock, I think we had 11 analysts and then one guy from Twitter just because we needed to fill out a spot. And he took Ben Simmons at 72 or 73, and that was absurd. But around pick 100 is kind of where he's going. And generally, I don't have builds that fit him great. So I haven't really ended up with Ben Simmons in many drafts, but I think he's going to be much better this year.
I still don't know, man. I mean, I'll take him. I've gone from never drafting Ben Simmons to, okay, fine, I'll take a flyer on him in round 12, and we'll see what happens. I still don't trust him. Still not really a believer, but it is interesting. My thing I keep going back to is, even if he does come out and do and say all the right things, he still can't shoot threes. He still can't shoot free throws. There's still holes in his game, but he does have that defensive mindset when he wants to, and he can rack up, points, rebounds, and assists like nobody's business. So it'll be interesting to see what Ben does. But I would not be surprised if we end up dropping him at some point this season. I could see the wheels coming off and things going sideways. So we shall find out. What else have we got here? Let's do this. LeBron versus Jordan. Magic versus Bird, Barkley versus Kevin McHale. Basketball is synonymous with legendary player rivalries. They make the game more fun and give fans the storylines that raise the stakes every time those players meet on the court or come up in conversation. Now, every player matchup and head-to-head debate can be settled on Rival Fantasy. This NBA season, you can play challenges where you decide which NBA player will score more fantasy points in their next game. Play the Rival Fantasy in-house challenges or create your own. Get a friend in the mix with customizable social challenges. Sign up at joinrival.com/RotoWire now and get a $200 deposit match. Get in on this now before the 2023-24 season tips off in about, 7 hours. It's time to step up to the challenge on Rival Fantasy. See you in the arena. I'm going to go check out Rival Fantasy. I have not been there yet. It sounds kind of fun. Noah, you got 3 bold predictions for me.
Whew. All right. First one is going to be Trae Young, top 10 9-cat player. I think playing under Quinn Snyder is going to work wonders for him. Going to be much better than he was for Nate McMillan. Already talked about shooting more threes this year than he has over the past couple seasons. How he emphasized shooting more mid-range shots because they felt he was settling too much for deep threes, but Quinn Snyder wants him to shoot threes. So I think he's going to get back up, probably add at least a 3 per game, if not set a new career high. I think it's 3.1. I can easily see him getting over that. And hopefully just Quinn Snyder's offense will help him get some better looks. So field goal percentage will go back up. So, I mean, he was 11th, I think, was his best finish, which was 2 seasons ago. So I can see him getting back to that and maybe even a little bit better now that he has probably the best coach of his career. Devin Vassell, top 50 in 9-cat. I think I'm not probably going to take him top 50, but I think he can return that level of value. He's going to be probably the second best player in San Antonio, obviously behind Wemby, who I think it would be kind of risky to say anybody's going to be better than him this year because he's already looked so good. But Vassell's going to score, hit threes. He's a pretty decent playmaker, underrated playmaker, can get defensive stats. You just got to improve the field goal percentage a little bit, but I think having Wemby out there will help him with that. And a third bold prediction, does it have to be a fantasy prediction or can it be a
Nope.
Then I'll roll with another one that I had, which was both Orlando and Indiana are playing in the postseason this year. I think both teams have, I don't remember the last time they each had their individual postseason appearances, but it's been a few years. I think they might both end up being play-in teams, but I think both will be playing postseason basketball. Indiana's going to be better just for young guys getting more experience. Adding Bruce Brown, I think we talked about him, going to be a really good move to help them win games. He's a winning player. And then Orlando just has too much talent. I don't know if you saw Patrick Beverley on a podcast say, it's I don't know why they have Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. He's talking about ESPN's top 100. I don't know why they have them ranked so high. If they have 2 players in the top 50, then why don't they win games? And it was just a dumb take because 1, that's a prediction for this season. And 2, like those guys are really, really good. They were a 500 team last year after a slow start. So they're going to be playing in the postseason this year. They have way too much talent to not. If they don't, something is fundamentally wrong with that team. There will be changes made quickly. But I think both those teams will be playing in the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially the Pacers. I'm kind of all in on the Pacers this year. I actually am from Indianapolis. I have a Pacers baseball hat that I actually probably should have put it on before we did this. But I think they're going to be good. I love their mix of veterans and youth. And Tyrese Halliburton, he's one of those guys like SGA and Anthony Edwards, where it just feels like he's about ready to take off to another level that we haven't seen yet. And you picked him to lead the league in assists. I'm with you on that. I made a mistake on my pick. I don't even know who did I take again.
Trae Young, Atlanta's
I have
own.
Trae, who you're bold predicting Trae's going to be good. So maybe I'll be okay there. But I just think Halliburton is can't miss in the assists. And I think the Pacers are not only going to make the playoffs, I think they're going to scare teams in the East. I think by the end of the season, teams are not going to want to see the Pacers coming to their house. They're just going to be a good team. So, no, before we wrap it up here, you're not in the 30-team league that I am in.
I don't believe so.
We do this every year. It's called 30 Deep, and it's an insane draft. I had the 25th pick in that draft. Do you care to guess who I took at 25? It's a guy we've talked about quite a bit today.
I mean, did Wemby get to you at 25?
He did.
Okay, so Wemby.
I got Victor Wembanyama at 25, and I was fired up about it. And then I got De'Aaron Fox on the way back. Wow. And then we flipped the third round.
Yeah.
So I got to pick early in the third round, and I got Austin Reeves. So I was pretty happy with the start of that team. And my full lineup, my starting lineup, we started point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, a guard, a forward, and a utility player. So my starting lineup for the 30-team league is De'Aaron Fox, Coby White, Jaden Hardy of Dallas, which if Luka and Kyrie are going to not play as much as people think they are, Jaden Hardy could be kind of fun. Austin Reeves, Wembanyama, Cam Thomas. Some people think he's going to be a candidate for sixth man of the year in Brooklyn. I'm not sure I'm one of those people. I got your guy, Zach Collins, as my starting center, which I'm pretty psyched about. And then Peyton Pritchard, red hot in the preseason, is going to be my my utility guy. So I feel better about this 30-man team than I have one that I've drafted in a long time. I know 1 year I had Ja Morant with my first pick, and he immediately got hurt, went down with an ankle injury. A couple of years ago, I had Zion. He didn't even play. If your first round pick in the 30-team league is an absolute bust, you're done. Like, your season's over before it even started. So none of that bears all that well for my man Victor Wembanyama, but I don't think there is a doctorate curse on these guys. I think I just made some dumb picks those years. I fixed it and got Wemby.
There you go.
All right. All right. Well, he's Noah Rubin. You can follow him on Twitter at Noah Rubin22. I'm Steve Alexander, Dr. A. I will see you guys on Thursday with Rick Kamla right back here at 11 o'clock on the RotoWire Fantasy Hoops podcast. Thanks for joining us, Noah. Have a great day, and thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, Doc, absolutely. You do the same.
All right. We'll see y'all.